me ask you something. What's the most you ever lost in a coin toss?
Need to know what I stand to win.
Everything. Just call it friendo.
What's in the satchel?
Full of money?
He's just a guy who happened to find that money.
No Country for Old Men, released in 2007, stands as one of the most haunting and meticulously crafted crime thrillers of modern cinema. A film that doesn't just tell a story, but slowly pulls you into a world governed by chance, consequence, and an almost philosophical sense of inevitability. Set against the stark, sunburnt landscapes of West Texas near the Rio Grande, the film opens with an atmosphere that feels deceptively calm, almost empty, as if the land itself is holding its breath before something terrible unfolds. That stillness is quickly shattered when a welder and hunter named Llewelyn Moss stumbles upon the aftermath of a brutal drug deal gone wrong. What he finds is not just a few bodies scattered across a desert, but a silent testament to violence. Trucks riddled with bullets, men lying lifeless, and a briefcase containing more than $2 million in cash. In that moment, the film pivots from quiet observation into a relentless chain of events, driven by a single choice. Moss decides to take the money, fully aware that it will not come without consequences. From this point forward, the story transforms into a tense and unforgiving pursuit, one that feels less like a typical chase and more like a collision of forces that were always destined to meet. Moss is not portrayed as a conventional hero. He's resourceful, cautious, and intelligent, but also flawed, driven by a mix of survival instinct and quiet ambition. His decision to take the money sets off a chain reaction that introduces one of the most chilling figures in cinematic history, Anton Chigurh, a man who seems to operate beyond the normal boundaries of morality or emotion. Chigurh is not just a hitman. He embodies a kind of unstoppable fate, moving through the story with a calm, methodical precision that makes his actions even more terrifying. Armed with a captive bolt pistol and an unshakable sense of purpose, he tracks Moss with an almost supernatural persistence, turning every encounter into a moment of unbearable tension. As the narrative unfolds, the film carefully balances multiple perspectives, including that of Sheriff Ed Tom Bell, an aging lawman who watches these events unfold with a growing sense of helplessness. Through Bell, the film introduces a deeper layer of reflection, exploring themes of changing times and the feeling that the world is becoming more violent, more unpredictable, and harder to understand. His voice carries a quiet sadness, as if he is witnessing not just a series of crimes, but the erosion of a moral order he once believed in. This contrast between Bell's introspection and the brutal reality of Moss and Chigurh's conflict creates a unique rhythm, one that shifts between moments of silence and sudden, shocking violence. What makes the film particularly compelling is its refusal to follow traditional storytelling conventions. Instead of building toward a clear resolution or a satisfying sense of justice, it leans into ambiguity and unpredictability. Key events happen off-screen, leaving the audience to piece together what has occurred, which only adds to the sense of unease. The tension is not just in what is shown, but in what is withheld, in the spaces between actions where the mind begins to imagine outcomes that may be even more disturbing than what is revealed. This approach demands a different kind of engagement, where the viewer is not simply watching, but actively interpreting, constantly questioning what comes next and why. The relationship between Moss and Chigurh forms the core of the film's suspense, a deadly game of cat and mouse, where the rules are constantly shifting. Moss uses his instincts and intelligence to stay one step ahead, improvising as he moves from place to place, while Chigurh remains relentless, guided by a logic that feels both alien and disturbingly consistent. Their encounters are marked with an intensity that rarely relies on dialogue. Instead, the tension is built through silence, through the careful framing of each scene, and the knowledge that every decision could be the last. Even something as simple as a hotel room or a roadside stop becomes a battleground, charged with the possibility of sudden violence. At the same time, the film explores the idea of chance in a way that feels both subtle and profound. This is most clearly seen in Chigurh's interactions with his victims, where he sometimes allows fate to decide their outcome through something as simple as a coin toss. These moments are not just about life and death. They reveal a worldview in which human agency is reduced to randomness, where the line between survival and destruction can hinge on something as trivial as a flip of a coin. It's a concept that lingers long after the scene ends, forcing the audience to confront the uncomfortable idea that control may be more illusion than reality. The pacing of the film is deliberate, almost meditative at times, allowing each moment to fully resonate before moving on. There are no unnecessary distractions, no over-the-top sequences designed purely for spectacle. Instead, every scene serves a purpose, contributing to the overall sense of inevitability that defines the story. The cinematography captures the harsh beauty of the landscape, using wide shots and natural lighting to create a sense of isolation that mirrors the characters' internal struggles. As the story progresses, the lines between right and wrong become increasingly blurred. Moss, despite being the initial catalyst for the events, is not purely villainous, nor is he entirely sympathetic. Chigurh, while undeniably terrifying, operates according to a code that, in his own twisted way, makes sense to him. Sheriff Bell, meanwhile, represents a fading ideal, someone who believes in a kind of order that no longer seems to exist. This contrast is what gives the film its depth, transforming it from a simple crime story into a meditation on morality, fate, and the passage of time. The ending of the film is perhaps its most controversial and thought-provoking element. Rather than delivering a conventional climax, it chooses to step back, focusing instead on Bell's reflections and the lingering questions that remain unanswered. It's a conclusion that may feel abrupt or unsatisfying to some, but it perfectly aligns with the film's themes, reinforcing the idea that not all stories resolve neatly, that sometimes the most important truths are the ones left unresolved. It challenges the audience to sit with that discomfort, to consider what it means in the context of the world the film has presented. In the years since its release, No Country for Old Men has continued to resonate with audiences, not just for its gripping narrative, but for its deeper philosophical undertones. It's a film that rewards repeated viewings, revealing new layers and interpretations each time. The dialogue, though often sparse, is loaded with meaning, and the performances bring a level of authenticity that makes every moment feel real and immediate. The absence of a traditional musical score further enhances the experience, allowing the natural sounds of the environment to take center stage, creating a sense of realism that draws the viewer even further into the story. Ultimately, what sets this film apart is its willingness to embrace uncertainty, to resist the urge to explain everything or provide easy answers. It trusts the audience to engage with its themes, to interpret its events, and to draw their own conclusions. It's not just a story about a man who finds money or a killer who hunts him down. It's a reflection on the nature of violence, the randomness of fate, and the feeling of being out of step with a world that no longer makes sense. That lingering sense of unease, of questions left unanswered, is what makes it unforgettable, ensuring that it stays with you long after the final scene fades to black.